Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new episode of the TRIFLIX cast. I'm Tristan Watkins, and today we have the special guest, Diane Doup, and Doup.
Correct.
And Randy Allman, and they are here to represent a couple of different organizations, specifically Yes Cinema, as well as Lincoln Central, very prominent members within the community as their organizations continue to support everyone as best they can, providing movies and additional family help throughout the community. So thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Go ahead and for people that may have not met you guys yet, introduce yourself. Let people know where it is that you're working and what type of projects that you guys primarily focus on.
All right, I'll start first, if that's okay with you, Diane. My name is Randy Allman. I'm with the Lincoln Central Neighborhood Family Center. I'm executive director. We've been around for about 25 years. We have about 30 programs that we administer outside within the Lincoln Central Neighborhood Center. Many of them are ones that folks are aware of. Bartholomew County Works, and we have tool lending library, we have counseling, we have a variety of things. And what we try to do is work with folks who live in the downtown area. Mm-hmm. A lot of low-income folks are there and so forth. We provide them opportunities to have a better quality of life and so forth. So we're happy that we do that. About 15 years ago, we embarked on a social entrepreneur venture when we took over Yes Cinema, which was, at that time, it was a different name and had been out of business for quite a while. So the idea was to use the revenues from Yes Cinema then to put back into the 30-plus programs that we do. But also an opportunity to take folks in the community who showed a glimmer of motivation and teach them good, healthy workplace skills. Yeah. And in doing that, then we would teach them to train them and teach them to be better employees, and then hopefully get them to a position where they could go out into the larger community and be successful. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we've done. My prior job to that, I was a court administrator working in the Bartholomew County court system for many, many years. I started a program that most people would know as community corrections. That'd be work release, house arrest, community service, those sort of things. And I did that for quite a while, and so I always preferred finding alternative to incarceration. So I had gotten pretty good at coming up with creative ideas on how to help folks rather than just punish folks and so forth. So when the opportunity to start the Lincoln Central Neighborhood Family Center came around, then I was really ready to do that. I'd already had a pretty good network in place and so forth, working with many of the local foundations, and so it worked out really, really well for me. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell, really quick. So Diane, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Diane Doup, and I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator at the Lincoln Central Neighborhood Center, and been doing that with Randy since we opened, as he said, 25 years ago. And as he was saying, we're kind of a one-stop shop. Any type of issue or problem our neighbors are experiencing, they can come to us, and we're going to help them try to figure that out, either through the programming like Randy was describing, or by getting them hooked up with the appropriate agency to assist them. And we're very proud of the fact that our board of directors is a minimum of 60% neighborhood residents. So those who live in the Lincoln Central neighborhood, which is downtown Columbus, those who have the most to lose or gain by the decisions that are being made are sitting at the table. And I just feel really honored to get to be a part of such a wonderful organization and to get to build the friendships that we have with our neighbors.
Yeah, great. So as far as your guys' involvement with the organizations, what has been your favorite part of interacting, whether that be with the families or just hoping that it makes a change? Like, what has been your favorite part in that?
Well, I think Diane would probably agree with this, that we especially in the early years, we got to know a lot of the residents really, really well. And so many of that's 25 years of 25 years of relationship with many of those folks. And unfortunately, some of them have passed away. What is significant to me is that when we first started, those folks didn't think they were worthy of having an opinion. Their voices had never been heard before, and they didn't quite know how to take us, because we were telling them, this is your thing. You're going to own this operation. You're going to be the decision makers of this, and so forth. And so there was a level of trust that we had to gain early on, and we gained that trust through a lot of actions. They kind of put us through some tests and so forth that we passed in flying colors, I'm happy to say, and we formed an allegiance that was really, really, really strong. And so the memories of those folks that are passed away, and the relationships that we have with the folks still involved, to me, are the most significant.
Randy's exactly right. The relationships are what's most important and valuable to me. These are folks that, even if I wasn't in this position, they would still stay in my life. Yeah. And I just feel really fortunate to get to work with all of these wonderful folks that we do in our neighborhood.
You'd mentioned that Lincoln Central has board members, is that right? How many are currently on that? You said 60% have to be from that area.
Correct.
We usually run from anywhere from 14 to 17 or
right now we have 15.
Okay. And how would somebody become that? Is that elected? Is that chosen, appointed, or how does that work?
Sure. So our board of directors has a nominating committee, and the nominating committee takes those suggestions from staff, fellow neighbors, board members themselves. They look a lot of times at the volunteers that have been involved with the organization and those that have expressed interest. And then we also look at, from a neighborhood resident perspective, really examining, to ensure that we have coverage from the neighborhood, so from different geographic areas, and also skill sets that folks might have.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when you say skill sets, are there people on the board that have different backgrounds and occupations, or is it something different than that?
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. So sometimes, it could be, people who are renters and homeowners, and maybe someone who's a landlord, or it could also be people of various economic means. It can be people who are single parents, or maybe folks who are retired. So we just try to get a nice cross-representation of those that live in our neighborhood.
It's a very diverse group. We have a gentleman that has 4 car dealerships. We have a lawyer. We have folks who work within the school system, business people, and then really it's kind of what we call at-large members, and then community or neighborhood members, and so forth. So it's probably, like I say, it's a division of 60% live in the neighborhood. So we're very pleased with that. They always have the final say.
Oh, yeah. That's good. Yeah, I do like the fact that you put such a heavy weight on having that 60% from the community, because I think a lot of times you want that representation to be from people that are affected by the decisions, but also you're more likely to care about people that you're close with. If they're from those neighborhoods, they probably, I assume, know most of their neighbors by name, and you might help them mow their lawn occasionally. So it's really neat to see basically your friends are the ones that are trying to take care of you and look out. That's really neat.
And they learn from each other. And to watch the empowerment process play out, where someone who doesn't feel like their voice matters, to see them go full circle and really realize their true strength and what they can become and what their voice can end up being, and seeing them transition to empowerment is amazing.
What kind of services I know you'd mentioned you have a background of trying to help people avoid incarceration, and that was what your passion is, and then it leads you to this organization where you're trying to help families. But what does that actually mean in detail? Well,
I'll let Diane kind of describe or define some of the programs that we have there.
Sure, and it was interesting, kind of a nice lead in when you were talking about our board of directors and having representation from the neighborhood, because our programming is driven by people who live in the neighborhood as well. We feel very strongly that we need to have our neighbors say what they want. It's their neighborhood center. It's not Randy's and it's not mine. It's theirs. So we do surveys of our neighborhood residents, and they can, tell us the kinds of programs that would be beneficial to them. So that's what we build our programming model around. And so our programming fits into 7 priority areas, which are safety, infrastructure, health, education, positive youth development, parent-child interaction, and parent support. So all of the 30 plus programs that are all in collaboration with somebody else fit into that. So, we're not out to create new programming, but rather bring the rich services that we already have in our community to a neighborhood level and to our neighbors' backyards. So all of our programs are in collaboration with someone else. As Randy was saying, we have a big emphasis on trying to help our neighbors get to self-sufficiency. So a lot of the programs, are around employment, and getting folks the jobs, but also then staying with them, like Bartholomew County Works, or helping folks get second and third chances through employment options at Yes Cinema. But we also have things like neighborhood police meetings. We're very fortunate to have a strong partnership with the Columbus Police Department and the City of Columbus in, a neighborhood watch group that meets. We have 2 different groups that meet there in the neighborhood at different times. And we're just coming off of the holiday assistance. That's always a big time for us with our Thanksgiving Day dinner with First Christian Church, the Christmas Day dinner with St. Peter's Lutheran Church, where folks can come on those holidays and get a free meal. And we're fortunate through those partnerships to provide hundreds of meals that day, each of those days. We have our Christmas assistance program, the Angels of Love, where we provide Christmas presents to, this year we did 733 children. So the holidays are a big...
Are those all local children?
They
or
are,
is it
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So Angels of Love is the 2nd largest program in our community behind the Cheer Fund.
Right.
And we're only able to do that because of the wonderful partnerships that we have. St. Peter's Lutheran Church and Cummins are big partners in helping us execute that program. And then we have lots of businesses, churches, and individuals who then come and adopt the children off of our list and provide Christmas for them.
Yeah, it'd be neat to see how many of those individuals work at Cummins too. they may support you more than you know.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Just
and
passively there.
Yeah, and we've just got a wide variety of programming. As Randy had touched on counseling. He has a master's degree in counseling and can meet with folks and determine if they have issues that maybe just need resolved right then, or to refer them on. To one of our partners like Family Service or a community downtown for extended counseling services.
Yeah, you said refer, and that as you were discussing or explaining what services you offer, almost all of them sound like it's some form of networking, and you guys are this hub. Or like,
absolutely.
And then as people come in, they're like, hey, I need help with this, or maybe they don't even know what they need help with. You guys can take time to listen, and then just, hey, I can refer you here or there, right?
Tristan, you're exactly right when you talk about that, because oftentimes when folks come to us, especially initially, they might be dealing with a crisis or one particular issue that they are looking at. And as we talk about that and really look at all the different things that are impacting that issue, but also things that we can prevent going forward that impact that. So that's where, a neighborhood resource center like this that is a one-stop shop can really make a difference through our partnerships and knowing what's there and getting to the root of the one issue, but also, preventing further, things further down the road, but also addressing other things that are impacting that one issue.
Yeah, it's really neat. A lot of the interviews we've had lately, some of them are business owners, but a lot of these people are running either a nonprofit or are doing something within the community. Last one we just had was John Sandlin.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you've met him.
We work with John, actually. Yeah.
So a lot of times people can't afford a car, or they're in a place where they just can't make that financial commitment. Maybe they're just out of jail and they don't have those funds. And he was helping basically buy and resell cars, clunkers, something that doesn't even run, fix it, and then offer it to these people $500. But instead of keeping the money, he's like, I want you to invest this in yourself. Please go to rehabilitation, go to this therapist, like find something that works for you. Likewise, we've had people like Brian Kendrick come on talking about, you mentioned community downtown. He ran by, I think that's Scott Hunley.
Yes.
Yeah, Scott Hunley. So Scott Hunley and Brian Kendrick have become pretty close friends, I believe. They work very close together on a lot of their projects. Brian Kendrick's working on some rehabilitation homes, I believe, in the area. I know they just recently built one, and I think it was Columbus. I never got to see the location. It was originally, they were going to have some in Kentucky, but he fell in love with Columbus moving here just about a year ago.
That's great.
So it is really neat to see. For me personally, I just didn't realize there were so many different organizations. And a lot of times it's just an independent person It's like, hey, I got an
Yes.
idea. I can fix cars, or I've struggled with something and I can share my story. And I just think it's really neat.
Well, speaking of fixing cars, we have an auto maintenance clinic that takes place 2 times a year in the spring and in the fall. And so we'll be having one fairly soon. And we had to have a bunch of volunteer mechanics come in, and they work on about 60 to 70 cars. They do free oil changes.
John is part of that.
Yeah, John's
group
part of
as
that
well.
group. But in the last, I mean, you have to, if you're going to have an organization like this, you have to use the collaborations that Diane talked about, combining your resources and so forth. You can do so much.
One person can't do it all.
In the last probably couple of years, we've put 100 people to work in full-time jobs. People who had struggled before keeping a job and so forth are now working with
what was that span?
With full benefits.
So
About two or three years,
Okay.
yeah. There's 100 people working through our Bartholomew County Works program.
Mm-hmm.
Again, with the partnerships that we've established and so forth, we're building our second house, providing an opportunity for somebody to be a first-time homeowner.
Yeah.
We just had one where somebody took over first-time home ownership. What was that? Just a few months ago?
Yeah, last summer.
Last summer, and then this house that we're building now will be completed probably in June. May, June. So somebody else will then get an opportunity to own their own home.
But Randy, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's really, when we talk about collaboration and collective impact, that's really a wonderful example of that through the Lincoln Central Neighborhood Homebuyer Program, because the city of Columbus is linked into that, and that they're looking at condemned properties and how do we turn those around to make them a better place. And then Southern Indiana Community and Housing Development Corporation serves as kind of the project manager for that, working alongside the C4 program through BCSC and those C4 students who are building this house.
I was getting ready to ask. I was a part of C4 with Columbus
were you?
East.
Great.
Yeah, and I took a lot of the engineering courses, and I know that they have home building classes.
Yes.
I thought they were for Habitat for Humanity. I didn't know where it was going. I just assumed that. So I was getting ready to ask if you guys interact with them.
Yes. So those students are building these homes, and if people have not seen these homes that C4 students build, they have built homes that are several $100,000. They are high quality, excellent, and beautiful homes. And we're fortunate that they're one of these partners in this. And then we've got a Prizen who will do credit counseling and helping folks get their budgets in line so that they can be a first-time home buyer. First Financial Bank is helping provide home buyer workshop classes for those who maybe have never owned their own home before, and so they can come in and learn about those basic skills that are so valuable. I said, I wish I would have known about that when I was a first-time home buyer, because that would have been great to take advantage of. And we've just got so many different partners that have come together to provide these opportunities.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever said I wish I could go back to high school before, but if I had one reason, it would have been to take that home building class, because I mean, I love YouTube and I've learned so much. I don't have a formal background in filmmaking. I've just been doing it for 12 years. That's how you learn. But I do really think there's a lot of value of having those hands-on courses. And I really wish
agree.
I wish I could have gone back and either taken an automotive course or especially the home building, because there's like just so many small home repairs that you pay somebody to come in, and I'm grateful somebody else learned it, but a lot of times they're in and out in 10 minutes.
Well, your timing is really good, because now's when the C4 program is really soliciting students. And you're exactly right. You can learn things in there that, even if that isn't your career path, that are valuable skills for you to have the rest of your life. Yeah. And it's a wonderful way to build your life skills.
Yeah. Right now I'm binging a lot of YouTube, Gordon Ramsay and a couple of other chefs, because
you've hit Randy's.
I didn't take enough culinary courses. So I'm just going through, and between the yelling and the cooking, I get about 50% through, and I really actually in the back here, I just stopped at Savory Swine and picked up 2 pounds of thinly sliced topper. I'm going to try to make some jerky tonight with it. Yeah, that's like $10 a bag at Kroger. Nothing against Kroger, of course. I'm grateful for the convenience
of it.
But at the same time, it's like, why couldn't I do that? Why can't I learn? So I'm all for referral programs and people taking the initiative, going out and learning whatever it is that they want, because it's between local programs and the internet. It's like anything you want is relatively attainable.
Yeah.
If you really tried, you could get somewhere.
I agree. Speaking of Gordon Ramsay, I'm one of those. Speaking of Gordon Ramsay, we spent my wife and I spent some time in Vegas. We went to all of his restaurants there. We love him, and my gosh, everything he fixes is fantastic. I'm a little embarrassed to say that at one meal, just the two of us, was $300.
But how did you feel after?
Oh my God, you didn't even feel like you got. You felt like it was well worth it.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
some, yeah.
That is one of the things I'm really passionate about too, among many, is for myself, like I mentioned, cooking. I try not to eat out unless it's a really nice meal, and you can really taste that difference whenever you go up to Northside Indy, because that's relatively, like we got Henry's Social Club
Social
here.
Club,
And
Harrison
we got-
Lake Country Club.
Yes, we
The
have
country club's phenomenal.
There's a new Italian restaurant at the Elks Lodge.
I have
It's
not
really
heard
good.
about those two yet.
Yeah.
So, we have a couple in Columbus, and I'm very grateful for the entrepreneurs that have started those ones locally. But whenever you go up, and it sounds awful, but you spend over $100 on the food, it tastes different. You feel different afterwards.
Yes.
I always have basically chronic heartburn from whatever I eat, and I can eat more than I probably should. I don't feel any remorse afterwards. It's so great.
Yeah.
And I want to learn how to do that, and I want other people to learn how to do that, because it's so silly that the food people eat a lot of times isn't real food. It's either so processed and so full of chemicals.
We're talking about food, but basically we're talking about quality.
Yes.
So
quality.
anytime you have quality,
Yeah.
you don't mind paying a little more for quality. And that's with the folks that we work with, a lot of times they don't get quality. So we insisted that the partnerships that we formed, whatever programs that we deliver, is going to have quality, that our folks are going to get treated as first-class citizens.
Yeah.
So
That's
we're,
awesome.
You're
we're
really
talking
like,
about
right,
food.
quality
and
is-
I love talking about food, but I wanted to kind of just say
But you're
that
right. Yeah, it
we
is
kind
about
of put
quality.
that idea into the things that we do through Lincoln Central.
And it's one of the things Randy insists
And yes,
on
cinema.
at the cinema. I was going to say
Yeah.
at the cinema is the quality, that
Plus, you guys show excellent
staff.
movies there.
Well, thank
some of
you.
the top ones.
Yes, but then you get to see it in a nice, clean environment. Cleanliness
Yeah.
is right there with quality. You have to be clean, and I take a lot of pride in the fact that Yes Cinema is probably one of the cleaner theaters you'll ever go to.
It's true. It really is. And I from the few times that I've been able to get in there, because I'm pretty much workaholic at this point.
Yeah.
But whenever I do get to go out to a movie, I really enjoy the quality, of course, of the staff, but then just going that extra mile and making sure that the customer service is there. Whenever people come in, everybody's always greeted, and I do appreciate those
thank
little
you.
things. Yeah.
Well, we have a good staff. We have a very good staff.
Yeah. Well,
Good trainers.
speaking of things that I appreciate, I would be very silly not to mention the fact that we are sponsored by Hill Zion Records.
Yeah.
It is a wonderful record company. They produce a lot of Christian music, a lot of Christian hip-hop music, and they're based out in Nashville, Tennessee. Currently, I don't know if this is not NDA or anything, but at the moment, we're working towards, myself and some other local community leaders, trying to put together a concert within the region to bring in some other Christian artists as well, and that was one that we would like to bring in. So between their supporting of our mission, bringing in innovators and people that are trying to be creative or promote the community, we love having you guys in, and it's made possible through these type of sponsors. And in exchange, we love to promote them, and of course, we want to help them grow. So any way we can, if people are interested in a concert, letting us know would be very helpful, because then we can get a better gauge and decide what type of venue would be best suited for how many people we need to come in.
And how can they contact you, Tristan, if they are interested?
Thank you so much. If people are interested, at the moment, if you just go to Facebook and then go to the TRIFLIX LLC page, you can contact our company directly, triflix.com. At the moment, we don't have a group event, because we just had one of our first meetings today about it, and by the time this comes out, it'll probably be 2 weeks from now. So hopefully there's a little more progress, and by the time this comes out, people can contact us and we'll have a little more information to provide. But as far as music goes, that is I love, one of the main reasons I started producing content was to make lyric videos and music videos for a lot of artists, and it's been really beneficial, not just for myself, but it's nice getting to see that you can be creative and contribute to something more than yourself, and see how that affects other people. One of the largest videos we've produced had over, I think it's pushing over 150,000 views.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you.
Oh
Thank
my
you so much.
gosh,
And
that's so
it was
cool.
for an artist, and he allowed me to post it on my YouTube page. And I get so many comments saying, "You're such a great singer." And to me, it's funny because clearly it's not me, but the fact that people say, "I listen to this every day," like I go to church and like this is what we play, and I let people know, of course, that this is the real artist. Here's their Spotify. Go support them there. It's cool to know that you're able to do something to benefit someone else, the artist, of course, and then all these people that are affected by it passively get so much joy or so much out of it. And I think that really comes back to what you guys are doing, working with these referral programs. Even though you're not the one fixing cars or teaching all these classes, you're able to refer them to these other companies or individuals or programs, and then they learn, and maybe they share it with their family, maybe they share it with their children that they're raising, and those are things that get passed along again and again. And
It's that ripple effect.
It is.
It's exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's true. Many times, I know when I was growing up, and a lot of times people will say, my parents said they wanted me to have a better life than they did. And I think a lot of parents share that with their kids. And it's one of the things that, when you talk about that ripple effect, that, we're helping adults to try to make a better life for the children that they are caring for, whether it be their own children or grandchildren or nieces and nephews or foster children. We want to try to improve that quality of life for the younger generations.
Yeah, I like that. So I guess that would be one of your goals, yes? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you guys have, off the top of your head, a couple of goals, maybe one 5-year goals, 10-year goal maybe for either Yes Cinema or Lincoln Central, maybe yourselves personally?
I can say one for the center, and then if you want to think of one for the cinema. But for the neighborhood center, I know one that we've talked about, and we kind of touched on it with the home buyer program, but is to increase the home ownership in the Lincoln Central neighborhood. When we started, from the time we've started until now, it's kind of flipped those percentages. And we see that providing affordable home ownership opportunities for people is a key to stability, not only in the neighborhood, but in households and in the lives of children, youth, and adults. So that's really a big key. And one of the reasons that we're part of the Lincoln Central Neighborhood Home Buyer Program is to provide that stability and opportunity for people. So that would be one of them, I think, for us.
I personally appreciate that because I have a 2-year contract for a lease or for a rental right now, but the reason we're renting was we couldn't afford anything, right? And so 2 years from now, I would be even more appreciative than I am now for an incentive like that. Columbus is a very pricey community, city in general, but it's because it's overall pretty great. And if you want to move into certain areas, it is very difficult. So I think initiatives like that will overall benefit, and you want people that like the community to move in, that'll stay here, raise their families, and hopefully continue that process through.
Well, and because of this partnership, these homes are being made available at a little bit more affordable price due to some nice grant dollars that have been made possible by Heritage Fund, the Community Foundation of Bartholomew County, and then SIH CDC is pursuing some other grant opportunities as well, so that we can continue to provide the homes at a more affordable rate.
Man, I love Heritage Fund. They just put their hand everywhere, and in a good way. They're always. I don't think there's too many community projects that aren't either supported or sponsored or somehow grants, that they just do as much as they can to help Columbus. And I received some grants from them whenever I was applying for college, so I'm always going to have a little soft spot for them in my heart. But as far as
wonderful.
Thank you. And as far as Yes Cinema goes, what goals do you guys got?
Well, we've attained a lot of, we've set goals through the years and so forth. When we first started the cinema, it was back in the dark ages, and we were still using film and so forth. So through the Heritage Fund and other wonderful foundations that we've had, we've been able to get to a place now where we have the best digital content that any theater could possibly have. Both sound and video and so forth. I think the goal that we would probably have, and I would probably have, is to be able to connect more with the community and get them to realize that Yes Cinema's there, that we're kind of a unique opportunity. Maybe we'd like to be their first choice for seeing a movie and so forth. We offer beer and wine. We do a lot of really cool things. We show ball games. We have comedy shows and so forth. So I think connecting to the community and maybe connecting to people that are your age and so forth, and get some of you folks off the sofa and into the movie theater, because that's the way entertainment was meant to be seen. It's on the big screen, and not in your parents' basement.
Yeah.
not that you're in your parents' basement.
No, it's a valid point, because I have a filmmaking background, and that's primarily what my main goal, my main passion, what our company is focused on, is making high quality content for people. And there is something special about whenever you make something original, and then, or you contribute it in some way, and then you get to see it on the big screen. Like it just, the feeling of getting that versus watching it on a TV in the office or on a computer monitor as you're editing is just completely different. And I know you guys do some local events. You guys support some different film projects type of thing.
Yes.
So I don't know, do you guys want to touch on that a little bit at all, or do you guys have any upcoming events that you might want to mention?
Well, I think it'd be worth mentioning our film festival. And Diane, you want to talk a little bit about our film festival?
Sure. So each fall, we feature the Columbus, Indiana Yes Film Festival, and it is a mix of narratives, documentaries, and short films from all over the world. We have a team. They have already started acquisitions for 2020's Film Festival, which will be October 23rd, 24th, and 25th. And, folks, watching and listening to this right now may say, oh gosh, that feels so far off. Well, go ahead and mark your calendar now, because we all know how the fall fills up, but you're going to want to come and spend the entire weekend there, because we have films from, there'll be over 20 films that will be featured. And it's a great way to see films that you wouldn't ordinarily get to see, but the quality is so well done, and it's very competitive. We screen well over 100 films to come up with this playlist of 20. And then there's a juried process, and we have jury members that are film experts from around the country who view those, and then they award cash prizes. So if there are folks that are filmmakers themselves, this is a great way to make some cash as well. And then we have filmmakers who come in that weekend to see their film on the big screen and get to meet and greet our guests that are there. So there's question and answer sessions. We have workshops. The Cinema Cafe is open and provides food. And like Randy said, we have the beer and wine and our regular concession sales as well. And so it's a great opportunity. It's fun to just come and spend your whole weekend with us and see some of the most outstanding films. And we have films that have gone on to receive Oscar nominations. Yeah. So these are not just little films that people have thrown together. They are major motion picture style, high quality films that you can see right here in your backyard. Absolutely, the quality again, right here in your backyard.
Quality. Yeah, everything you guys do, everything you guys bring to the table, try to bring in people, whether you refer to them or whether you play them on the screens. That's a great initiative.
Thank you.
As far as inspiration goes, this is outside the companies. I'm just curious for you, Randy, what has been your biggest inspiration growing up? Why is community, why is helping people such a big part of who you are?
Well, it's a good question. I think there's a lot of factors that go into that. I grew up, in a large family. We were poor and so forth. Had an opportunity to go to college initially on a basketball scholarship, and I really never thought about going to college. I never really took a book home when I was in school. I wasn't prepared when I went. So I'm a pretty competitive person. So when I went to college, I had to learn how to study. I had to learn how to get ready for class the next day. In my family, there's such a large family. I mean, basically my parents cared about was putting dinner on the table. So I just had to learn all of that on my own and so forth. So as I began to change my values and start valuing those kinds of things more, when I started working here in Columbus, I looked at individuals and people that I had a lot of respect for and so forth. People like Sherry Stark and Sarla Kelsey, Randy Tucker, folks like that really meant a lot to me, and I wanted to emulate, and I wanted to make a contribution in the community like they had. So that's pretty much my story, I guess.
Yeah.
So I am also a native of Bartholomew County, and really a big part for me comes from my family. So I'm very fortunate that my parents, uncles and aunts, grandparents, were all very engaged in the community in a variety of ways. And so it was just something they took my sister and I along with them to things that they did, whether it be a volunteer opportunity or serving on a board or committee. And we went along in a lot of those things. And I saw at that time the value of giving back to your own community. And that's really what first got me engaged in that. And then also, volunteering through our church, Fairlawn Presbyterian. I've been involved in the 4-H program. And through both of those, we did a lot of volunteer opportunities as well, and working with local nonprofits. And that's really where a passion developed. Randy stole a couple of the names that I was going to say of people that are that were influential in my life. He was talking about Sarla and Sherry, and I would throw in Barbara Stewart in mine, and Herb and Barbara Hoover as people who really did a lot in teaching me about the importance of having a passion for your community. And as far as giving back to your community and the importance of it, my parents, David and Wilma, my grandparents, Perry and Millie, they were the trailblazers for me. And all I did was just follow right along in their footsteps.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. It's, so you guys had mentioned like you came from, I guess not from local families.
Yeah.
So do you feel like that plays a pretty large importance to you, and why that you guys chose to be in Columbus? Like growing up here, you could have gone anywhere in the world. What about Columbus stands out to you guys so much?
Well, to me, Columbus is an exceptional community. I have great memories of teachers and so forth through my years here and so forth, coaches. Bill Stearman was my basketball coach, legendary basketball coach, as fine a person you'll ever meet. I just never really thought about living somewhere else. I've had the opportunities to do it. My wife feels the same way, by the way. We just feel like we belong here and wanted to raise our family here and so forth. So I'm so glad that we're here and hope to be here forever.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. That this feels home to me. And I've always appreciated being home and around home. But I just think Columbus is such a wonderful community. When you look at the arts and cultural opportunities that we have, the beautiful architecture that we take for granted because we just grew up around it. But all of that coupled with the rich amount of resources that we have and the great opportunities that we have for sports and arts and music and parks department. We are so fortunate to live in a community this size and to get to benefit from the Columbus way, these public-private partnerships that have made this community so wonderful. I love living here. I love the fact that there are so many neat things to do. And I've kind of joked before, and I said I've probably made people that upset when I've said, when people say, well, there's nothing to do here. And I said, no, there might be nothing that you want to do at that time. There is always something to do here.
Yeah, it's like 80% of Indy's resources basically, but only 20% of the traffic. So
yes, you're right. Yeah,
you can go 15 minutes and you're one side of town to the other. We have almost everything. You're 45 to an hour away from Louisville, Cincy, and Indy if you needed anything slightly more. But
yeah, you're exactly right.
It's honestly is a great community. I grew up, over half my life has been here now, because I moved here for middle school from Jennings County, and they're making great efforts now trying to rebuild parks, trying to put more priority for developing actual relationships with the community members. But coming from that space and moving to Columbus around the age of like 10, I believe, it definitely changed my perspective on the values of community. There wasn't necessarily the same type of resources available, or if they were, there was just a lot of people that needed them, and the supply and demand was just so skewed that it made it difficult for people in need. And one of the things I admire about Columbus is it seems like almost everybody, whether it be an individual or somebody that's worked their way through politics, somebody that's an entrepreneur, everybody is trying to find a way to give back to the community. And I think that's, for me, one of the things I like most about Columbus.
I agree.
We are coming to an end, though. We got like maybe 2 or 3 more questions. Try to rattle these off real quick. If you got an answer for them, good. If not, you can just...
This is like the lightning round.
Lightning round. You guys are welcome to just say skip or just point at the other person. So we have learning. What has helped you guys learn the most? You'd mentioned some mentors along the way. Would you stick with one of them? Is it a book? Is it just going out and trying it for yourself? What has that been like for you guys?
I think learning by doing, not making assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, a part of that learning process is bringing other folks in. In our situation where we're trying to work with residents and have residents be empowered and so forth, have them go through the learning process with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a comfort level there. And if you do fail, the landing is a little softer when you have more folks involved.
Yeah, I like that.
I think learning is correct. You talk about the mentors, mentorship, and absolutely, the folks that we have talked about. I've learned a lot from Randy working under him, his experience through the court system, and then also his just creativity. And helping keep things light rather than too serious. It's easy to get burdened or bogged down with everyday problems. So I've learned a lot from him and other folks who have run nonprofits and been involved in our community. And then, like you said, learning from our neighborhood residents also has been really key to me.
Yeah, just having people pour in your lives and trying to make
Yes.
the most of it. As far as misunderstandings go, whether it be about you, one of the companies you've worked for, the company you're currently working at, what has been the thing that either you get asked the most about or the thing that you want people to take away?
Well, let's answer that as it relates to Yes Cinema.
Okay.
I think folks, we just learned this one really not too long ago that because of the unique situation we have when in hiring folks and training them while they're working there, I think some people got the wrong information that the theater was just for folks like that to go to. When the Yes Cinema is an upscale theater, it's for everybody and anybody that wants to go see quality film and so forth. So it's not a special theater. It's a full-fledged.
No, hang on. It is a special theater, but it's not for a specialized population.
It is a cinema with a cause.
It is
You're
a
exactly
cinema with
right.
a cause, but it's for everyone in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I was thinking about.
I didn't
well.
explain that
It's just,
particularly well. So
no,
thanks for
just
help.
making sure that people understand that Yes Cinema is open to everybody. We show the exact same blockbuster films that you're going to see somewhere else. And as Randy said, we want Yes Cinema to be your choice, your first choice, because we are a cinema with a cause. We are locally owned, and the profits from the theater go back into supporting the programming that we've been fortunate to talk about here today. So you are doing good for others when you are there.
Yeah.
But if you are someone who wants to put your feet on the back of chairs or put gum,
Throw stuff on the floor.
you put gum on your cup holder,
Talk during the movie.
talk during the movies on your cell phone, then there is another theater across town because Yes Cinema is for everybody, and that their experience is important to us. We want everybody to enjoy the movie.
I think learning to take care of what you have, for me, that was one of the fundamental lessons my parents had taught me. And they say you'll never get better things in life if you don't take care of what you have. And while that is mostly figuratively, you can go get a credit card, get whatever you want, it does instill certain values of be respectful of other people's properties, treat others how you'd want them to treat yourself, and how you interact at a public setting and how you treat their furniture is I think an extension of that. So I don't know how far you guys go towards helping families as far as teaching family values, but for me that was one that's a lesson that's always stuck with me growing up.
Absolutely.
And I think trying to give back to families, I think teaching those lessons, and whether it be financial, mental, physical, spiritual, whatever it is, like those are things that people can take away and pass on to family members or friends. But let's jump into the second to last question here. Advice. What has been the thing that has helped you? What's your advice for people? You know what that means.
I would say hire quality folks like this young lady sitting next to me. That's the best decision I made in 25 years.
Yeah. Are you married?
I am married.
Yes, he is.
But I was married long before 25 years ago. So I said in the last 25 years.
Thank you. That's very nice of you to say. However, I would say two things. One would be a work ethic. I think anything that we do, having a quality work ethic is going to help you in life no matter what you're doing. It's that work ethic. And I also think a sense of humor. And that's something that I've really learned from Randy. And I kind of touched on it earlier, that we deal with a lot of serious issues, not only in our job, but in just our world in general. I mean, society, there's a lot of bad stuff and heavy stuff that we have to deal with, and being able to have a sense of humor, even when we have neighbors come in and they are dealing with something that is so overwhelming, so taxing in their life that they are so focused on that. For us to be able to get to laugh really provides the medicine that they need.
Not at them.
Absolutely. And
up.
so it's providing laughter is good for them and for us to not take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid point there. Okay, now we have links. Where can people find you? If people want to learn more about Yes Cinema at Lincoln Central, maybe they live in the area and they're like, hey, I want to be a volunteer. What is the central the central location or a couple of places you want to plug?
Sure. So the Lincoln Central Neighborhood Center is located at 1039 Sycamore Street. So we're on the corner of 11th and Sycamore in downtown Columbus. A lot of folks know us that we are 2 blocks from Zwanzig's.
Yeah.
So Zwanzig's Pizza, our neighbor there. And so you can find us on the corner of 11th and Sycamore Streets. You can also give us a call at 812-379-1630 and talk to us anytime. Yeah. And our website is www.lcnfc, which is our initials for Lincoln Central Neighborhood Family Center. So www.lcnfc.org. And the cinema is located at the corner of 4th and Jackson Streets in beautiful downtown Columbus, across from the post office.
And the garage.
And we have, and our website is www.yescinema.org. And you can find all the showtimes, online ticket sales, more information, not only about what's coming soon and the Cinema with a Cause mission, but also you can get connected to Lincoln Central as well through yescinema.org. And we're also, both organizations have Facebook pages, and the cinema is also on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, we'll have links in the video. If you guys are watching the video, they're probably you've already seen them. If you guys are not, maybe you're on Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, any of the other platforms where you don't have an audio visual, it's just audio. That's okay. But I would highly recommend going to those places, especially if you're in need of some help.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And as far as my company goes, if you guys know anybody that may be a great guest, someone innovative or creative, somebody that's doing good in the community, somebody that you think deserves the support and recognition they deserve, feel free to recommend them on TRIFLIX LLC on Facebook or TRIFLIX.com. That's TRIFLIX, as well as sponsors. Maybe you guys appreciate what we do, and maybe you don't have the time to come on, but you'd still like to support people like Randy and Diane coming on and sharing their stories. It's our goal to promote people, and maybe someday we're big enough where we can have somebody come in, share their story, and if enough people watching like it, they can get that boost they need to take that next step in their endeavors, whether that be starting a company, trying to get some freedom with their creativity, to go independent, whatever that looks like for them. It's our goal to eventually meet those needs. But all in all, I appreciate your guys' time. Did you have any last little things that you wanted to add? Any final thoughts, or are you guys good?
I just want to say thank you so much for having us today. And if you're not familiar with TRIFLIX, please get to know Tristan and his team. They do high quality work, and we just appreciate you giving us this opportunity to share about our organizations.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Ben, for editing this. She mentioned the team. We got Ben Gluntz. He'll be putting this together. We really appreciate it. We appreciate you guys coming on today, and I hope you have a great day.
Thanks. You too.